Ogres are like onions. Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. Don't you get it? We both have layers. Shrek is a DreamWorks film that graced TV screens all over the world in 2001. In the movie, Shrek is depicted as an ogre that is on a quest to save a beautiful princess in a very tall and dangerous tower. Shrek is also depicted as going on this quest not for the right reasons, but to get his land back, because Lord Farquaad has put all these fairy tale creatures everywhere on his land to come live there, because he literally says, this is where you guys will stay for the time being, because I have nowhere else to put y'all, so y'all are just going to stay on Shrek's swamp. And this is all without Shrek's permission. He has no clue about this, so he accepts the mission and is like, let's go. We're going to get these fairy tale creatures off my land, so let me just go on this quest. In the beginning of Shrek, he's very negative, he's very rude, he doesn't seem like he wants to be bothered by anybody. And this all changes once he meets Donkey, who's a lot more open and a lot more caring. And I think that Shrek kind of sees this as a way to protect him later on in the movie and to become a lot more understanding. At the end of the movie, Shrek is a lot more open, he's a lot more respectful, and a lot more happy. And it just seems like his world is a lot more better for him than how it was at the beginning. One of my favorite parts in the movie is when Fiona goes back into her natural state, and rather than Shrek being like disgusted by her and saying, ew, get away from me, stay away, you're ugly, he just tells her that you are beautiful just the way you are, and he loves the way that she looks. The theme of the movie is that to not judge people. I think the theme of the movie is to be like, don't really act the way that people perceive you to be, because sometimes we act a certain way because we think that we should act that way, because that's how others say, like, hey, you should act this way, so you should, jump into that personality of the way that they think that you should act. And I feel like Shrek did that a lot, because the people were like, ew, he's ugly, he's fat, he's a monster, no one wants to be around you, you're disgusting. And I feel like Shrek was like, hey, maybe if they're treating me like this, maybe this is true. Maybe I should act the way that they're treating me. Maybe I should be more on guard and be more of a, roar and stay away from me and, put up like a show for them to like, keep them away. And I feel like in reality, this was just kind of a way of Shrek knowing that his feelings were hurt by what the humans were doing to him, but he just didn't want to like admit it because he was really stubborn. And I feel like this kind of put like a struggle for him. It was kind of humans versus himself, because this kind of made him more closed off and more distant, and he just didn't really want anyone to be around him. He literally put like a whole log fence around his gate just to keep them out. One thing that I noticed in a site, like one of the sites that I noticed in the movie, was the lighting. When it was light outside, not much stuff happened in the movie, but at the dark, a lot of weird, surprising things happen. Like in the beginning of the movie, Shrek kicks Donkey out. He's like, stay out, you're not coming to live with me. But later on in the movie, Shrek hears like these weird noises, and he's like, what's that noise? Like, I thought I told you to stay out of my house. And Donkey's like, I am outside, what are you talking about? And then when he peeks out, it's like dark outside, but then he sees all these fairy tale creatures all around him, and he's just like, what is going on here? How did y'all get here? But then I think that was a way for the directors to kind of see that as like a foreshadowing thing, and just to, just to be like, this was something soon also creepy and weird will happen at the nighttime to Fiona. Do I think that this film is important? Yes, I do think that it's very important, because I feel like it teaches us to not be so judgmental and to treat others with respect regardless of how they treat us, and no matter like they're just like, ew, you're ugly. I feel like we should treat people with respect regardless. And you never really know who you'll meet. You never really know their story. So I feel like you should get to know their story first, just before you just start judging and making it seem like, ew, we don't want to hang out with you because of the way you look. And also another thing that I think that the movie is important for is true love. I feel like true love comes in different forms and different shapes, and I feel like the forms that you meet, like you're not always gonna find the person that's like your straight up type. And I feel like in the movie, it just kind of shows that love is love no matter, regardless of what you look like. You should just accept it, especially if you're in love. Because there'll be other people that'll be like, ew, Shrek was ugly. Like, why did Fiona even date him? I think she most likely fell in love with him for his heart and the way that he was. Do I think that this movie is a typical genre? No, I don't think so at all. I think that usually in a princess movie, the ogre becomes very handsome in the end. But Shrek was not very attractive throughout the whole movie. He kind of stayed unattractive from the beginning to the end. It was just a lot of different things that happened in it. I don't really want to spoil it for anyone else that, hasn't watched the movie. But I think that it was kind of weird that, like, they put it like Shrek did not become a prince at the end. He didn't really become beautiful. He was just kind of the same from the beginning to the end. Shrek is a very beautiful and important story because the way that it depicts love and the way it depicts different friendships, because Donkey and Shrek were very opposite. They were kind of like oil and water. They didn't really mix together, but in the end they became friends, which just kind of shows you that, yeah, you might find somebody that doesn't seem like they'll be your friend and doesn't seem like they'll be a part of the crowd that you hang out with, but they might end up being your best friend. They might end up being your boyfriend. And I feel like that's what Shrek kind of taught us, that, like, don't be so judgmental. Don't be so quick to judge, because that might end up being your friend. And also, in the end of the movie, I feel like it just kind of pretty much put onto the quote that it said, like, ogres are like onions, because it's like they have so many layers. Humans have different layers to them. You need to figure out each one. Like, we all have a different story. We all have a different way of doing things. And I feel like we should all be understanding and caring to each other regardless of our layers. So yeah, thank you for watching my video. I really do appreciate it. And go watch Shrek. I do definitely recommend.